See, there we go. I know you're pressed on time, so thank you so much. I'm Sherwin with Gospel Music Buzz, and I'm excited to be speaking to you today about your new EP, Grace. So we can go ahead and jump right into it. How are you doing today?
Absolutely. I am wonderful, and I have to big up you on your accent. I adore
Well, thank you. That's my Guyanese accent.
it. Love it. Absolutely love it.
No,
I need to, yeah.
no, I was gonna say before we even get too far. So while I was going back and doing some reading on you, I noticed that you were born in Far Rockaway. Is that true?
I was actually born in Jamaica, Queens, but I grew up in Far Rockaway. I was raised on the south side of Jamaica and in Far Rockaway. My grandfather's church was on the south side of Jamaica, Queens, and I lived in Edgemere Projects in Far Rockaway.
Oh, nice. So fun fact there, see, then there go next connection. I
Okay.
actually spent about 18 years in Far Rockaway.
Did you
So
really?
yes, yes. So when I
You
saw
know
that,
exactly what it is. You know
so
exactly what
yeah.
it is. You know what I find is very funny when people meet me. If I tell them I grew up in a place called Far Rockaway, Queens, either people,
Mhm,
it's weird, either people know about Rockaway or they don't at all. It's kind of tucked away. Um,
mhm.
and it's weird because it could be one of the most beautiful places in the country, but there's
Uh-huh.
a lot of other things that are going on in the Rockaways. Um, or at least at the time when I was growing up there, I know they're trying to get it cleaned up and
Yeah, yeah, they're
make
doing
it
their
better.
transformation.
But when people realize that I grew up in the Rockaways in the '80s, in the late '70s, and then the '80s, they're like, "No way!" I'm like, "Yes, this is called evolution."
That's
I
that's
evolved
called
well.
evolution. That's evolution and grace.
This is evolution and grace.
So listen, man. Also, too, this is, we're still in Women's History Month. So
Mhm.
just share briefly, like who are at least, your top. Well, I don't want to say top two or three
I'm
because
gonna
it's
give
not
you
a
my top
ranking. But
one. This is the
oh,
easiest question, and you didn't
okay,
even
there we
finish
go.
asking it. It's my grandmother. It
Mm.
is my 95 and a half year old grandmother. If God blesses her to see her birthday in September, she will be 96.
Wow.
And she has preceded two children in death. Like she's outlived, excuse me, two
Hmm,
of her
hmm.
children and her husband. My grandfather, who went to sleep on Resurrection Sunday last year,
Oh wow, wow.
and my mother, who we lost in the end of October last year as well.
Oh wow.
And then she had a son who died when he was very young. He was 22 years old. But to know that she was born in the 1920s and to know that she has lived through so many eras of this country and this world. She's lived through world wars. She's
Mhm.
lived through segregation and the desegregation process. When she was born, women could not vote. She was here when Dr. King was killed. She was here when,
Wow.
she's seen all, she was here when the first, landing on the moon was made. She was born before there were televisions and homes. Um, and to
Wow.
think about that and to know where we are technology wise, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? There, nobody was flying commercially when she was born. Getting
Yeah.
on the plane, up until last year was a no brainer, and you really didn't have to think about it like that. And then, but she still was alive to see the first Black president. She's still alive now that the country has figured out ways to explore other planets and not just the
Hmm.
moon. She got COVID last year after it took my grandfather, and she beat it.
Wow. Oh.
She is the epitome of a superwoman. She's my personal superwoman. She's my personal superwoman. I'm so sorry about that. Um, she is my personal superwoman, and I love her. She's amazing. Um, I remember all the things she used to tell me. She used to tell me, "Be a lady." Little girl running around in the church. She grabbed me by my skirt, sit me down next to, pinch me on the arm. Nobody could even tell she had a pinch that would just make you lose. It'd just be one little tear coming out your eye.
So that's the church. That's the
Yeah,
church
yeah,
moms that
yes. You
they
don't
know,
sit
but
down. You don't sit down and stop running through this church. You're a young lady. Sit down,
what?
sit down. So you remember all of those things, and then watching how she kept her house, and watching how she honored my grandfather, but
Mhm.
she was still you know, she was who she was. And grandma literally is the reason why. God, obviously, that's obvious.
Mhm.
We
Yeah,
all
yeah.
have the gifts that we have because of God. But my grandmother is not only the matriarch of this family, but she is where we all get that musical ability from. She before she got to be this old, and she had suffered from a double stroke, and she only recovered one side of her body. So she doesn't play anymore, but literally, I haven't been able to visit her, but if I'm on FaceTime with her and I start to sing, the one hand that still works, she'll pick it up and she'll start acting like she's playing the piano and she'll sing along with me. So everybody in my family is musical. Everybody either sings or plays or writes or does all three, or two out of three. And we all got it from her. We all got it
That's
from
an
her.
amazing legacy. That's
Yeah,
an
before I
amazing
can
legacy.
honor any other woman, it starts and stops with
But,
grandma, and
but
then
there
we
we
can
go.
talk about
That was
somebody else.
that was an easy one. I threw you
That
an
was
easy one there.
easy.
But
That's always
let me ramp it up. Let me ramp it up. So, you know,
yes.
the key grace, right? Because again, clearly you're no newcomer to this. You know, you just celebrated the 20th anniversary, you know, of your Mirror Mirror project. So it's like, you know, you're no newcomer to this, but in kind of, you know, recording for all these years, doing everything else, like how important is this project to you at this time in your life?
Ooh, you know, this was a God idea. And I have to just keep telling everybody this because over the course of the last 3 or so years, in between television projects and filming things, I've been recording for the next R&B album. And last year, it was a random thought in my head. I posted a Throwback Thursday picture from an only gospel album up until now, and realized at that time that it had been 15 years since it had come out. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it's been that long. I wonder if it's time to do another gospel project. And there was this message underneath the picture from EJ Gaines at Motown, who I know. And EJ is like, is your number still the same? And I'm like, you know, my number's not the same. He's like, check your DM. So when I checked my DM, he's like, I need you to call me. So I did. I called EJ and he was like, were you serious about that post? And I had to think about it. I was like, yeah, I think I am serious. I think it's time for another gospel project. And he's like, well, if you really are serious about it, I think Motown would be an amazing home for it. So if you want to do it, consider us. I said, okay, I'll do that. But literally, it wouldn't leave me. And within a week, I was on a plane flying to Nashville to sit and meet with him and Monica Coates, and played them one song that I had recorded that I was preparing actually for season 10 of Sunday Best to do for the finale.
Yeah, yeah.
And they heard the song and they were like, whoa. And I was like, yeah, but yeah, I can get a whole project done. Like, I think it's time. And shortly after that, because that was before the pandemic, shortly after that, I want to say maybe a month later, the country shut down. They closed it. They officially closed Atlanta down, even though it never really closed, if you ask me, on March the 16th. And then I lost my grandfather on Easter Sunday. And so even though the pandemic was thick, it took another turn for me at that point.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after that, I'm getting news after news after news. That one is gone, that one is gone, this one is gone. And then in June, they're like, grandma got it. And I'm like, no. I was in my house screaming to the top of my lungs. I'm like, no, God, I can't do, like, I can't right now. Like, I can't do this right now. Grandma beat it. But we continued to lose friends and family from church throughout the year. And then we lost my mother in the end of October. And so it was just a really long year, but it was a year that made me press in. It was a year that made me reevaluate what made sense. And I put in a call to Motown probably sometime in late November, early December. And I think the call they were expecting was that I wanted to push the project back because I needed some time. It was the opposite. I told them I have to get this done now. I felt at that point more than ever, this is what I needed to do, first of all, for me, but the world needs this right now. And so while everybody was celebrating the holidays, I didn't put up a tree. I didn't decorate like I normally do. I think I did a little something around the fireplace in my living room, and that's it. But I went in, I was on during Christmas, I was in writing and recording, and told them I need to change the meaning of Resurrection Sunday because I grew up celebrating, a risen Savior. And, I've now lost my grandfather on that day and my baby sister on that day 7 years prior. So I want to inject some hope and some faith and the will to live into people inside of that weekend. And I want to celebrate.
Oh man, I'm ready. Like you're out here preaching to me. I'm ready to see where am I sending this offering at, man.
Don't ask, because I will give you my cash.
Let's go. Drop it in the comments. No, but that's your listen, man. And I think, again, the EP Grace is going to be released on April 2nd. And once they go ahead and they pre-order now, they're going to get 2 tracks from that EP, right?
Yes. Right now, if they do it, they will immediately get our first GRAT track, which is the title track, Grace.
Yeah.
And at midnight tonight, the second GRAT track will download to everyone who has already pre-ordered, and that is called Dance Party. And that really is what I want people to pay attention to, the intentionality. I don't even know if that's a word, how intentionally I place that song. Because I remember watching people trying to find things to do throughout the year to keep themselves busy, and all of these TikTok challenges, and people are having family dance parties and posting them. People were looking for something to grab onto to feel normal and to feel happiness in a world that was literally being smothered with death last year. And so I wanted to honor everyone who I lost last year through this project, but I definitely wanted this project to be a reminder that we are saved by grace through faith. And in between that, we have a life to live and purpose to fulfill. And inside of that, because God does want us to have a life as abundant as our spiritual lives can be if we push into it. And so we have to be intentional about pushing into life so that we can have abundant lives. I want people not just to lament when they listen to this project. I want them to get up and dance. I want them to feel like they want to live again. I want them to feel like that even though they may have lost things and people to COVID, that you're still here. And if you're still here, it's because God still has something left for you to do. And you got to find a way to do it and live it out joyfully. The joy of the Lord is our strength. So I put a lot of joy into this project.
Sound like a grandma over there, man. That is amazing. And that is exactly my final question I had for you here as we were at the top of the session here, but that was about that dance party song. I kept that song on repeat and on repeat. I was just like, in the midst of everything, because you took us through in the journey of grace. You took us through your grace moment, right? Because I'm sure everyone is typically would say, hey, I'm just a sinner saved by grace. But we all have this moment in which we know that, hey, God saved me. This was my grace moment when I figured I would have going to be giving up, but something happened during that time that really pulled us through. And I know that was your 2020 with everything that happened. But then when you come up on that, that dance party song, that track was amazing. It definitely gets you into that vibe, into that mood, and it was everything. So my only question coming out of the dance party is that, is that also a hint that we might be seeing you on Dancing with the Stars? Like, where do you?
Oh my God, I hadn't even thought about that. I might would try it if they asked me to do it. I thought prior to 20 that I had entered into like a new kind of way of living bold and being really lively. But I think seriously making it through 20, I think I'm willing to try even more things now than I was before. I wouldn't put it out there that I couldn't win it. But I sure would try. I sure would try if they asked, if they asked me to.
There you go. You heard it here first.
I sure would try. But I have a request for you and for all of your viewers and all of your followers. Because I am going to be issuing this challenge because there is a video for Dance Party. I want people to create their own dance parties and post them and tag me.
Okay, perfect. I will make sure that message is very loud and it's out there. You don't want to see me dance, but I'll make sure.
I want everybody to dance. Like, you've heard the song, so you know where it goes. And when you
Yes,
see the
yes, I
video,
do,
it's
I
gonna
do.
want to make you. It's gonna want to make you dance. Like I wrote the treatment for the video, and
Awesome.
so it's very colorful and it's very lively, and there's a lot of scenic background. You will see me everywhere from on top of a snowy mountain to standing in the middle of Times Square to floating in a bubble over a city in this video dancing.
Okay,
Yeah, no, it's
okay.
a lot going on. The
Well,
wigs and the wardrobe. It's all about the locations, the wigs, and the wardrobe.
there you go. Well, I thank you so much for spending this time with us today. Again, I'm Sherwin with Gospel Music Buzz. I appreciate you. I appreciate you finishing this project in spite of everything and just getting it out there. I can't wait for everyone to be able to enjoy what we've been enjoying as a
Yes,
precursor to it. I appreciate you.
thank
Enjoy the
you.
rest of your day, and I can't wait. Thank you so much,
Thank
Kelly.
you so much. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Thank you. Thanks, Vaughn.
Thank you, Vaughn.